Hello, this is David Bates, and this is the first of what I hope to be many short videos on how to develop using Adobe Flex. The tutorial today is about something which I just had to do for a project that I'm working on. It's how to use Scale-9 images. So let's begin by creating a fresh project in Flex Builder. We're going to just accept all the defaults to begin with. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and create ourselves a custom component. Now, normally you would have a proper folder hierarchy for something like this, but just to keep things simple, we're just going to create a components folder. Okay, and we're now going to create a new MXML component. So we're going to call this my container, and rather than canvas, we're going to use a slightly more powerful container, the hbox. This lays out subcomponents horizontally. I'm going to hit OK, and our component is created. Okay, now we're going to make a couple of changes to this. We're going to horizontally center and vertically center all subcomponents. It just means that they appear in the middle of the box. Okay, now we go back to the main application and we're going to create an instance of the component that we've just created. And just so you can see how the container works, we'll create a couple of subcomponents, just a couple of buttons. Okay, so we save all of that and we hit run. So this then opens up and we can see the rather unspectacular component that we've created. And you'll see that the background is transparent at the moment. So that's probably the first thing that we should change. Now we could just set the background color directly on the component, but a generally better way to do it is to create a style sheet to do this for us, and that's what we're going to do now. We just created ourselves a folder called styles, and we just created a CSS file. So we type in the name of the component. This is how CSS knows where to apply these rules. And what we're going to do, just for the time being, is we're just going to set the background color to red. I often do this just to make sure that the CSS is working and that it's hitting the right component. But before we can use it, we have to insert a reference to that style sheet. So we've gone back to the application and we insert a style tag and we refer to that CSS file that we've just created. All of that's saved. Now we'll run it, and there we go. Still rather unspectacular, but at least this time we can see where the component is, where this my container is. So now we come to the issue at hand. We want to create a background image for this component. So we're going to create an assets folder, and we're then going to insert this image. And now you can see this image is basically a border. This is just a regular PNG file, and you'll notice that it's a little thinner at the top than it is at the sides. So I'm just going to copy that into the folder, and there it is. So we can now access this this image. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the style sheet and we're going to actually reference it. So we say the background image, and then we use embed, and then we type in the source, the location of that file, and then this file will then be used as the background for our container. So we hit run, and you can see that our container now has a proper background, but you'll notice that the top and bottom parts of the borders have been clipped, and this is because our component is currently smaller than the actual image. So this is probably the first thing we need to do. We need to go and fix that, and that's just another line of CSS telling the CSS to use the image and stretch it to fit the bounds. So we hit refresh, and there we go. We can now see the top and bottom parts of the border. So this is great, but we're now about to see why we need Scale-9. So I'm just going back to the application, and I'm, rather than just letting the component appear in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to attach constraints to it so that it fits to the border of the browser window. And I'm now going to hit run. Now we can already see this doesn't look quite right. You can see that the sides are a bit jaggy, and also you can see that as I resize it, the entire image is resizing. So the top border and the bottom border and the side border, everything's growing. So this is where Scale-9 comes in. This is just an extra set of data that we attach when we use the image to denote basically where the borders are, where the different parts of the image, where the left border, the right border, the top border and the bottom border are. This means that then when the image gets resized, the borders are retained, and it's only the central bit that actually does this proper scaling. So, as you'd expect, we go to CSS to add this extra metadata that we need. And all I'm doing here is I'm just defining where those edges are on the image. And you can work out where they are. There are some special tools that you can use, or you can just open up the image in Paint and just go and look at whatever pixel reference you think where each the borders start. I usually actually just go by trial and error. So just add the last one, and then I then go and fix all the commas that I've missed. And we hit play. So now we can see what our Scale-9 image looks like. As you can see, the borders are actually at the border, and they're not rapidly increasing in size the way it was previously. So this is from the other tab when we weren't using Scale-9. You can see how everything's growing, the entire image is scaling. And now I'll go back to the Scale-9, and you see that it's just the central portion that's growing. So that's the tutorial. That is how you do Scale-9 images in Adobe Flex. I'm currently fighting off a bit of a cold, so hopefully my next video should be a little bit easier to understand. But if you have any ideas for what you would like to see in the next video, just drop me an email. This is David Bates for trycatch.net, the home of exceptional software.